Hi, I'm Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. Today I'm going to talk some more about my humanization technique. It was developed a while ago, probably maybe about 8 years ago, when I put together my earliest version of my self-love recovery treatment program. Back then, there was only 5 stages. From that point, I've evolved it to 11 stages. But essentially, in this treatment program, there's a stage where I help people develop what I call predictive awareness. And predictive awareness is knowledge, information, practice, and just a broader understanding on what to expect if you should terminate a relationship with a pathological narcissist. I've spent a lot of time trying to explain that there are very, very predictable reactions. And if you can tap into that, if you can remember it, if you can predict it, it will guide you in how and when to leave the narcissist. In my program, I never get someone to the point of leaving a pathological narcissist until they are ready, until they're prepared. The very worst thing that could happen to someone with self-love deficit disorder, an SLD or a codependent, is to leave and not be psychologically prepared. If they should leave and then get sucked back in, manipulated back in, the impact on their self-esteem is large. It's exponentially big, because when you finally get up the courage and sometimes the money and the resources to finally leave the dungeon master, the warden, the person who has put you in this prison of sorts, and then you are at the point where you're leaving and it's all working forward and it's all coming together, then the narcissist predictably starts to play games. I have a video for this, and I wrote an article on the strategies narcissists use to sabotage or neutralize a termination of a relationship. And although I won't be talking about those 14 individual strategies or manipulative techniques that they use, I will be talking about the most potent of all of them, and that is the humanization technique. The humanization technique, as you probably have heard me talk about, is the most challenging for SLDs, because it evokes sympathy and empathy. The humanization of a person who up to that point has been horrible, nasty, brutal, without a conscience, not empathetic, and all of a sudden that person shifts and they look like they're hurt and sad, and they start talking about their childhood and how hard it was when they were growing up and how they never knew what love was, and they apologize, often profusely. Please don't leave me. I've been abandoned and I don't know why I do this. And I'm quoting what a narcissist might say. I could change. Just give me a chance. And once they start to cry and once they look sad, it is hard for the codependent to resist. The reason it is so difficult, it is so deeply manipulative, is the narcissist isn't lying. Many of them are not consciously trying to manipulate the codependent to do another trick, to just pull one over on them. They are connecting to their core shame, and almost never do they connect to their core shame because it's just too big. It's been disassociated and put away deeply in their unconscious mind, specifically in their limbic system and the amygdala, a part of their brain. It's not supposed to be conscious because the pain that created it, the childhood trauma that is responsible for it, was so huge that remembering it would throw their cognitive, emotional, intellectual, emotional functions right off. So the brain automatically sequesters it, puts it in a leaden case, and puts it away to never be remembered. But when a narcissist is facing the termination of a relationship with someone they love, and if you're a podcast listener, I'm quoting the love part. If you've heard me say, narcissists love people. The sociopaths aren't able to love. That's another discussion. They just love people that make them feel good. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands of people break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder. Choose self-love over the insanity of narcissistic abuse. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help. If a narcissist finally is at the point of the relationship where everything they have done up to this point fails and they cannot stop the codependent or the recovering SLD from leaving, they experience this tremendous wave of shame and fear and anxiety. It is like the child they used to be was awoken, and that part of their mind, that part of their brain has been offline, hidden under layers and layers and layers of other emotional thoughts, experiences, never to be retrieved. And now they are experiencing feelings, intense feelings, body aching, body stimulating experiences of loss, shame, and abandonment. So when they go into this sad, begging, pleading position and look like this broken child with puppy dog eyes and tears streaming down their face, please don't leave me, they really are being serious. They really are being honest. But there is a big asterisk that comes after honest. Honest as much as they are capable in this moment. They are flashing back to their childhood. They are having emotional or affective memories that formerly were not available to them. And they are remembering the terrible, stinging, burning loss of abandonment and neglect. And they are feeling it. And they are begging the codependent, the recovering SLD, to consider this and understand that they can change, that they don't have to keep doing what they are doing. They can overcome this negativity, this control, this harm, this abuse, this manipulation. And for the SLD, they are seeing sometimes what they always wanted to see, what they begged their partner to show or to manifest or to somehow embody, this sense of understanding, this sense of empathy, this sense of responsibility. So when the narcissist is crying and pleading and saying, you can't leave me, I don't know what will happen, they, in a very paradoxical sense, are becoming the type of person the codependent or the SLD always wanted them to be. So I'm kind of contradicting myself, but just hang tight. It's not real in the sense that it is a response of abandonment, and it is a manifestation of unconscious, repressed, disassociated memories of abandonment and neglect and shame and fear. It is the flooding of those emotions that they experienced as a child coming up in this moment that up until that point of time were not accessible to the narcissist. The idea that finally the end is near, that their beloved SLD partner, who in their mind they love, I know it's twisted, but I'm sure you understand, is going to leave them. They're going to be alone. It somehow short circuits that whole narcissistic, self-centered, grandiose, and entitled personality functions. It just shuts them down. And it brings forth a child that existed before their narcissistic self. The child that actually understood that people can get better and can make choices. It brings back a child who once had the fantasy that if you just behave a certain way, that good things can happen. And it was a fantasy because that child never was able to get that, and because of the sum total of all the trauma and abuse and neglect that they experienced during their attachment years, it created their personality disorder, and of course is the curse that they have for the rest of their lives. But in this moment of impending loss, of breaking wide open, the SLD is confronted with a child who doesn't want to be alone. And most humans respond very sensitively to children. It's in our DNA. It's in the way that we evolved, that we respond to the facial expressions of a child. We respond to the sounds, the experience, that we want to help children. And so the SLD, their anger, their frustrations, sometimes is stymied. It's frozen. And they are now dealing with the type of person they always wanted that maybe think is real. And that's the problem, is it's not real. It's an iteration of something that has been repressed, disassociated, that for this moment of time is being connected to. The narcissist cannot stay connected to that wounded, traumatized child that they are expressing in what I call the humanization technique. It's impossible for them to stay there. That door is open maybe for the first time in their whole adult life. It closes, and it closes as soon as they feel safe again. Always, predictably. Take it to the bank. When you are dealing with a narcissist who finally is being the sincere, accountable, emotionally accessible person, or child, it's not the person that you always wanted. It's the person that they used to be, at the very youngest points of their life before they had to dissociate from the trauma of their whole existence. It's the child that was buried that somehow has come back to life. It's not real. If you ignore this child, if you block out the narcissist's attempt to manipulate you through this humanization technique, it's going to be the hardest thing that you've done probably in your whole life, because you're going to be, at least in your mind, neglecting a child, neglecting someone who finally is wanting to take responsibility. But you have to trust me. You have to trust what you know. That is not who your partner is. It's not who this narcissist is. It's a fragment that was brought forward that is being presented as the whole. You have to tell yourself that if you do accept this person's plea, this emotionally fluid and fluent articulation of love, desire, accountability, finally an apology, then you must get ready for when that closes down. And then that goes away, and the narcissist will not even refer back to it. I know narcissists who have been confronted about the humanization technique, especially if they used it to successfully thwart the codependent's departure. When confronted about it, they just smile and they say, whatever. It's like it never happened. Another element I want you to consider with the humanization technique is what happens to the narcissist if you ignore it. If you observe and don't absorb it. I have many YouTube videos and I have online educational resources on the topic of observe, don't absorb. So I'll just let it be here that if you are effective at not letting them get into your head and evoking these empathetic, rescuing emotions, and you observe the person trying to manipulate you, and you don't absorb or you don't let the toxins in, you will be able to stay free and protect yourself from this humanization attempt. But the next step for many narcissists is the worst and the most difficult part of the humanization technique, and that is when they start talking about killing themselves. And this can be with someone who has never, ever voiced or articulated anything about suicide, has not talked about suicide, has no history of suicidal ideations. But now they are saying, if you leave me, I will kill myself. I will have nothing to live for. I will be dead. And if you have children, well, that is a situation that is just deeply troubling, because this is a part or an extension of the humanization trick. Now they are saying, I will become nothing. My life will be black and empty, and I have no will to live anymore. I might as well end it. And if that doesn't twist the SLD in knots and get them confused and get them to back down, then nothing will. But if you've been watching my videos and you are familiar with this information, you're ignoring it. You know through observing and not absorbing that this is just an extension of the humanization trick, and does not really mean that that person is going to kill themselves. And I want to be clear, there are some narcissists that will attempt suicide, but the probability is not high that they will attempt suicide. If they have borderline personality disorder, the probability is higher. And the people that attempt suicide and it becomes fatal, it's often an accident, because their intention is not to die. Their intention is to shock a person into understanding their pain and reconsidering their plans to terminate the relationship, is to somehow thwart those plans and force them to take care of you because you're going to kill yourself. The hardest element of this scenario is to not absorb it, is to not let yourself get triggered, is to be able to say, and this is what I recommend strongly, I am so sorry you're feeling this way. Would you like me to call 911? Or we can get you into a hospital. Inpatient psychiatric program might help you. Or it will break my heart if you kill yourself. It will make me very sad, and the children will be scarred for the rest of their life. But I'm not going to be able to stop you, because I can't change what is good for me based upon this threat. So if you do kill yourself, I will do my best to help the children have access to the cemetery. I'll bring them to visit you. I'll get them in the best therapy I know to help them deal with the grief and the loss. Now, that sounds like a lot to say, and maybe something that takes a lot of nerve. But if you say something like that, almost always the humanization technique gets thwarted. It's like, poof, they get mad, they get upset. And for that moment, they forget about being this hurt little child who's afraid to die. They get mad. And there you have proof that it was never real. I am not saying that the pathological narcissists will not kill themselves. I'm saying that the probability is low. And if they do, it is a problem that they did to themselves, and you have no responsibility for it, especially if you reacted in the way that I suggested. I will call 911. I will make sure you get into a hospital. I'll make sure that there is some program that takes care of you, and some of the other suggestions. But the humanization technique is at its most challenging when there is a threat of suicide. Please just remember that the other side of that is not something good, because let's say you react and saying, please don't do that. Okay, fine, I'll stay with you. It only means there's going to be a short respite of niceness and sweetness and empathy. The niceness, the sweetness, this new person that they're saying, I've never seen it last. And if it does, it can't be more than a day or a week. So you'll have to trust me when you are experiencing the humanization technique and its very worst version, which is the suicidal threat, the talk of dying. You must protect yourself. You must observe it, not absorb it. You must understand that it is nothing more than a trick to trap you back into the dungeon that you are trying to escape. I hope this information was helpful. If you would like more information about this topic or other topics I discuss, consider reading either of my books, The Human Magnet Syndrome or The Codependency Revolution. I have a new workbook that's out there. It's called the Human Magnet Syndrome Workbook. And I have a lot of educational resources at selfloverecovery.com. Also, consider subscribing to my Patreon program, where there is access to content that's not available to other people. And with some of the Patreon program levels, you can get contact with me, whether it's through email or face-to-face or a Zoom video session. Well, be well, and thank you for taking the time to hear what I have to say, and I wish the very best for you. Take care. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands of people break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder. Choose self-love over the insanity of narcissistic abuse. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help.